So we did the bill review yesterday. That's the only thing I'm not going to go through. Okay. So I'm going to start from the very beginning question, very first question that I asked, which I usually ask before the bill review anyways. But we're going to pretend like I showed it and I forgot to ask, and I'm jumping back in. So that's a lot of really cool information, right? Any questions about what we covered so far on that? No? Okay, cool. So I'll tell you what, you know, what I've learned, I've been doing this for a little while now. What I've learned is that people usually have some type of questions that they've heard throughout, some stuff that they've heard about solar from people that have got it, or they read online. What kind of questions do you have for me about solar or about this stuff in general?
Backup power. That is my biggest question. I've just had a few friends tell me some different things.
Okay.
So I'm just curious how your company kind of does it. Like, I guess it works.
Okay. You said backup power. Like what about backup power? What did they told you?
So I've been looking into like some generators and stuff, but if I could do that with my solar, that would be great. Because then I don't have to lug that big thing around or try to figure out where to put the other one. I can just have it on my roof, right? Okay.
For like medical equipment, just to be off the grid, or to prep for like zombies, like what's the big goal?
Yeah, I guess more just zombies. Now we don't have any like. Go ahead.
I said more the zombie stuff. You said.
Yeah, we don't have any like none of that stuff. It's just basically keep the house running. Honestly, probably just like bare minimum stuff. We don't have anything real crazy.
Okay, like what when you mean bare minimum, like the AC or just like keeping the food cold?
What options do you have?
There's a lot of them. That's why I gotta figure out. So I mean, we could do everything from running an island all the way down to just making sure that the batteries are there. So like what is it that you're trying to keep on if the power goes out, and for how long?
All right, so my friends mentioned it might get like a little kind of expensive, so I'd like to see kind of what it looks like if I just keep like the fridge on. But what I would really like is if we can run AC, run the fridge, and water heater.
AC, fridge, water heater. You don't need to keep the pool heater on, do you?
No, you know what? If that happens, I don't think I'll be swimming. I'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably storming, jumping in a pool, and lightning. I've heard that's a bad idea. I haven't done it yet. I might try it because I'm a thrill seeker, but I don't think that you'd want that on anyways. So at least the water heater, so it's nice and warm, right? You wouldn't want to be like running your washer and dryer, right?
We'll go without that for now.
Without that for now.
See how this looks.
Because like you heard, like they get expensive, so it's like if you're wanting to save money, be able to is that ideal situation, being able to do like save money, but then at the same time know you have that security, or is it just like I don't want to be a part of the utility company as much as possible? Like what's that big goal?
Just saving money.
Just saving money. Okay. Yep. Like let's say like it's like, oh, this is too crazy. As long as as long as the solar would save you money, then at least you'd want to look into that still, right? So you just want to know about it. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta ask. So, other than the batteries, what are the kind of questions you got for me?
How big are the inverters? Is this gonna be like a big thing on the side of my house? Those are like the two main things. I don't want a big. I'm not about that.
You want the one the size of a fridge on the side of the house?
No, that would be a deal breaker for sure.
All right. What else? What else you got for me?
That's I don't know a whole lot about it, but those are just the two big things that really. I wouldn't quite say like deal breakers, but I'm really interested to see how that plans out.
Perfect. So you want to know about that inverter, make sure the rest size is right, and then you got to make sure that if the price is right, you can still save some money, get the AC, the water heater, the fridge, stuff like that going, right?
Exactly. That'd be great.
Fantastic. So no other questions, anything like that? So maybe some like crazy folklore that you heard about solar that you want to know about either?
No, I'm okay.
So this was your first time actually looking into it then, other than your friends?
Yeah. Just kind of, I've been thinking about it for a while, and now is the right time, I think, to get into this just with our family. I think it just hasn't been the time, and now it is.
Perfect. Great. Well, let me go ahead and answer these questions then, because here's the thing, like we were just talking about that utility bill, right? And it's crazy. And, we had that pretty little happy house there that kind of explained, at least that part of it. So, there's a lot of money, hopefully to be saved there. This is actually what that looks like. So right now we're actually looking at your average utility bill being about $140 a month. Were you aware of that?
Mm, not that aware.
Not that aware. Yeah. Well, because like we said before, you're like everybody else. When it comes in, you just go ahead and okay, that's what I have to pay, so I'm going to pay it, right? Because you want to keep
Yep.
the lights on, the food cold, and you want to, make sure that you're not either boiling in the summer or freezing in the winter, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, we don't want to be macaroni. We don't want to be ice either. So this is kind of what it looks like for saving some money on solar. It's absolutely amazing. This is that little savings mark when you pay off your system and you have this huge thing here. Here's what I mean. Okay. Have you ever heard the term inflation before? I asked that redundantly, right? Think about back in 2020. How much were you paying for gas, man?
2020. So we went on a family trip. We found a place. It was under $2.
Under $2. Let's say a buck
Well,
90.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what if somebody came up to you at that gas station and say, "Hey, I have a way to lock in that buck 90, and you'll never pay a penny over for the rest of your life"? How happy would you be today?
Sign me up.
Right, right. Even if you weren't saving a penny, it's like obviously things are going to go up, and it's probably a good investment, right? Right. So that's kind of what we want to look at with solar because right now with utility companies, they're increasing their rates. Have you noticed a little bit of change in your rates? I mean, I know I pointed it out, that stuff there, but did you actually notice over the past couple of years that your bills have gone up pretty drastically? An extra 20, $30 a month?
I haven't honestly paid that much attention to it, but I'm sure if I looked
A lot
at
of
it.
people don't. And that's the thing, because it's something that we have to pay. We're going to be renting our utility until we either buy or until we buy solar or we die. We don't want to do that, right? We don't want to just rent something for the rest of our lives. That's why you bought your house, right? That's why like you said, you bought that nice car out there. You didn't lease it. You didn't want to keep paying somebody for the car that you want to drive, right?
Mhm.
So this is what happens with utility companies. Across the United States, we're looking at an average annual increase of almost 4%. It's 3.69% annually every single year. Okay. So Arizona is actually one of the worst. We have an average annual increase. So back in 2016, utility companies were given permission by the Arizona Corporation Commission to increase your average utility bill by $8.90 a month on average. That came out to almost 9.5% increase on average when they choose. Did you know that happened?
Yeah, I had no idea.
No idea, right? That's a pretty drastic increase, right? Here's the
Ridiculous.
thing, like we've seen it since 2020. They're like immediate, like, hey, we had to give a whole bunch of people stuff, so we're going to pass the buck on to you, right? We don't want to incur that cost. That's happened. So if you use the same amount of electricity right now in 25 years, do you think that's going to happen? Or do you think you might actually want to add some stuff to the house or different TVs or maybe an electric car? We might even go all electric at that point, right?
Well, if kids use any electricity, then yeah, there's going to be a little bit more.
Going to be a little bit more. If you didn't use a kilowatt hour over what you've been using in the last 12 months, in 25 years, your bill is going to be $373 a month. That went from $1,600 a year to $4,400 a year, almost $4,500 a year in utility. Would you like to be planning to retiring around that time as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I ask everybody that question because here's the thing: when we plan on retiring, we have this thing that we have to do? It's a bad word. It's a B word. So don't get mad at me for saying this. It starts with a B and ends with an udget, right? Have you ever had to worry about that before? We all have, right? So when we're retiring, we have to do even more of that because does your income go up or down?
Definitely down.
Definitely down, right? And if we're lucky, it stays level. But what's going to happen to our utility? Is that going to go up or is it going to stay level?
Probably go up.
Definitely not going to go down, is it? I wish it did. So by making that switch to solar, check out what you can save right there. What can you do with an extra $50,000 in your pocket in the next
I
50
can
years?
think of a few things. Yeah.
Think of a few things. And then if that solar payment stopped and you actually own your power, how incredible would that be?
That would be nice. Okay, that actually reminds me of a question I had.
Okay, there you go. Tell me about it.
All right, not trying to scare anything. So bad experience I had of my friend. I was talking about solar. That's why I was kind of like edgy about it for a little while. So his system on his roof, so it was great for like a year or two, and then he said it almost like completely stopped working. A lot of he just said started having like a lot of problems. So I was kind of wondering about like warranty, or just like how well your systems work? Like, this is great, but he's like those savings. He's talking about that after a while, it almost he wasn't quite making like a very big much of a difference, like a lot of those savings. So
Yeah.
this would be great, but I'm just wondering like how long. Cause I
Right.
know like it wear and tear, but like how do you guys do?
That's actually a really good question. So let me show you real quick. Before we move forward, do you have any questions about what we've covered here so far?
No, you've been great.
Awesome. So let me talk about that warranty because it is important to have a good warranty because check this out. Property value increase for homes with purchase solar is on average about 4.1%. Your house is actually showing an additional 21,000, almost $22,000 in property value increase by
Hmm.
adding solar to your home. So that's only going to be important if you have a warranty to back that up to transfer to the homeowner, to the new homeowner, right? So there's some green stuff that goes along with it, over 6 tons of CO2 offset, and then you have over 201 trees. It's the equivalent of 201 trees being planted. So that's pretty crazy. But I think this is actually an important one too to answer that question because usually people are asking about warranties. It's not just for themselves. It's because you're probably worried about, what if you do want to sell your house? Have you ever thought about selling your house?
Yes, I'm gonna do that in a few years actually.
Few years? What's your time frame?
Six. The way it's looking, it actually honestly might be more like 9, 10 years.
9, 10 years? Okay. So you want to make sure within 9, 10 years that you can keep that property value and then it's going to be worth it to the new homeowner to have a warranty, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's yeah.
Perfect. So here's what's going to happen because that warranty's got to cover a couple of things. First of all, it's got to cover the equipment. It's got to make sure it's covering the actual work that's being done itself. Okay. So we have several warranties. We have 25, 25, 25. So our actual inverter is actually warranted for 25 years. And the inverter is actually not very big. It's about the same size as your computer monitor, and it goes right there on the side of the house. And it's actually pretty cute and it's good looking. So it's not that old one that used to be put up on the side of the house that was the size of a fridge. Okay. Now the batteries aren't that much. They're about 200 pounds, and they would go in the garage, and they are about the size of a fridge. But they're in the garage and not visible from the side of the house. Okay. The inverter would actually move into the garage at that point too if you did decide to get batteries. Now, battery warranties. So with the Tesla Powerwall 2, you're looking at about a 10-year warranty on those. Average lifespan is between 15 years, or between 10 and 15 years is what they're rated to go for, but you have that warranty for about 10 years. Now, your equipment is an important one. Okay. So we're looking at a 7.2 kilowatt system. That means that you need 18 400-watt Hanoi Q Peak dual black monocrystalline panels. What this means to you is there's two types of panels. Okay. There's called monocrystalline, there's called polycrystalline. So how long ago did your friend get a system?
About 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Okay. So the standard equipment back then was called polycrystalline. Every system has what's called the degradation rate. Think about your phone. How long have you had your phone?
Like 8 months.
8 months. Does it hold the same charge that it did when you first bought it?
No.
No, you wish, right? Is the screen as bright as it was when you first bought it?
No, it's definitely going down.
Definitely going down, right? Everything degrades over time. So solar panels are no different. They're not going to work in 20 years the same way that they do today. Okay. So the older efficiencies were a lot worse than they are nowadays, which is one of the reasons why after probably year 5, year 6 is probably when he started seeing the big changes in his production. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty standard back then. We used to see a lot of 80-20% offsets. So I'm going to explain that here in a second because that'll help you understand and probably help your friend because there's ways that we can actually put a couple more panels on the system to help him produce that. That's why you see some panels that are blue and then all of a sudden they have like a row of black panels. Have you seen that around town every once in a
Yeah.
while?
Uh-huh.
Add those extra panels on there to help take care of that because the type of panels that we have monocrystalline panels. So polycrystalline panels, they're made up of multiple different fragments of the cells that are melded in together to create one cell. Okay, so poly means many, right? So it just means that there's many different components to make one thing. A monocrystalline panel is one of those, it's a single cell panel. They have what's called a lower heat coefficient, so they actually do better in higher temperatures and in lower temperatures. So what happens is when you start getting those summer months, which is really, really when you want to kick on that AC, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the sun is as highest? Does the stuff outside heat up or does it cool down?
And it heats up.
And they heat up, right? That same thing with the equipment. Those older polycrystalline panels, even the newer polycrystalline panels, they don't have the same heat coefficients that allow that to happen. So as the temperatures start to rise, your panels start losing production because they're hot and the circuit isn't running the way it should. So it's clogging up that flow and you're losing production along the way. Okay. So really when you need to save the most, you're actually producing less power. Okay.
Mhm.
So not his fault and not the company's fault. That's the best equipment he could have gotten at the time for his money. Right. The problem is it's just degraded over time. So I mean, if you had a choice, would you rather use a monopoly or a poly or mono panel or a poly panel?
Mono sounds better.
Mono sounds better, right? With most companies, those are a heck of a lot more expensive because of our buying power. And we go direct to manufacturer. We actually get them at cost from what the distributors would normally get. So we can actually provide those to you at the same cost as a polycrystalline panel. These are tier one. They only degrade at a 0.05 to a 0.06% annual decrease, which means you'll still maintain at least 80% efficiency after about 20 years. So those people that buy the house, they'll still have amazing production after that time, right? Isn't that pretty
Yeah.
cool? And
Yeah.
a 25-year warranty that's transferable to the new homeowner. So even 5 years after that production goes down, if the panel stops working, they're going to go ahead and swap it out at no additional cost. So, and I like to explain these a lot, like, because you're going to need to let your insurance company know that you put something on the roof, right?
Mhm.
Phones work the same way, basically. It's the same basic concept. If I threw my phone against the wall right now, is my warranty going to cover it or my insurance?
Insurance.
Insurance, right? But if I'm texting and all of a sudden my screen goes black and it never turns back on, what's that going to be?
Warranty.
Warranty, right? Same thing. Okay. So with everybody else, the inverters are about a 10-year warranty because that's what comes standard from the manufacturer. So there's two types out there essentially. There's ones that actually convert energy right there at the power or condition it. And then the other ones are string inverters. They run in series. So you're probably not an electrician, so I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the mumbo jumbo that goes with it. But in
Thanks.
series, what it means is it works like this. You're old enough to remember the Christmas lights and mom and dad screaming, "I can't find the broken bulb," right? You remember hearing that? Because what happens
Yeah.
when that bulb goes out?
It's done. You just go buy a new one. That's what happens.
You just give up and go buy a new one, right? That's what a string inverter does. Those are some of the most common ones, and they're very inexpensive, which is why they're most common on the side of houses. And then you have then we use what's called a solar edge inverter. It's an optimized system, so they're not all working in series. Okay, they actually work independently. Each panel works by itself. So you don't have any trees that are going to be shading your roof. But if, let's say, this tree gets overgrown and starts shading the roof a little bit, if this one panel were to get shaded just a little bit, it's going to drop its production by up to 40 to 50% because it's clogging up the circuit. There's no way to fix that whatsoever with the panels because it's clogging up the circuit itself. But what we can fix is how it's affecting the rest of the system. Because if we had that Christmas light system, what would end up happening to the rest of these if they were all working together? If that one drops production,
Done.
they're all done, right? So then we use this as a standard, and we sell it to you for the same price as we do for the rest for the SMA or for the string inverter systems, because we want to make sure that if this goes out, do the rest of your panels get affected?
I hope not.
No, they don't at all. They're all working independently, 100%. So if something were to go wrong, you actually get to see it on your phone. You're going to have an app where you can actually take a look at it and see if there's anything going wrong with your system. You'll get notifications, and then we can actually check it out as well, so we can send somebody out to replace that. So if it's only out for a day or two, should you see a problem with your production?
Nice.
No, like it'd be so minimal. You shouldn't have an issue as long as the system is sized correctly. Okay, so that's the other 25-year warranty. The other thing is we're up on your roof with sledgehammers banging on the roof like no, we're not. Okay, so we got to make sure that these things are mounted to the trusses and that they're secured to the roof because we have wind, right? And the last thing we want is for that to blow away. So we secure them to the trusses, and we got to make sure that we warranty that as well. So that's actually going to be a 25-year warranty on the workmanship, so that if there does cause a leak, if there is an issue, usually we know within the first year if there's a problem, but we give you 25 years for peace of mind. So, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Standard warranties out there are between 10 and 20. We make sure we give you 25 on all of them so that you know that we're here with you for as long as you have your system. And then even afterwards, when you sell your home, we can actually take care of that for you. So actually your realtor just calls us. We do everything. You don't have to call us when you sell your house. We'll take care of all of it. Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
So here's how this part works. Does that answer your questions about like what happened with your friend and stuff, and then that inverter stuff?
Yeah, I'm glad I talked to you guys. I feel a lot more safe with that. Thank you.
All right, cool. No problem, man. That's what I'm here for. So beat me. Like I said, we're the certification company. We had to learn all this stuff. And we had to talk to this one dude, crazy wild. Like he almost made one chick like crash her car because she was listening to it when she was driving because he just jumped on the screen screaming, "Oh my God!" And it was absolutely nuts. But we learned it all so I can teach you, right? So here's your system information right here. You're actually looking at 12,779 kilowatt hour annual production is what you're doing for that first year. You're going to see a small dip every single year, and the reason why is because things degrade. So we have to build the system appropriately so that you're maintaining as much savings as possible. Okay, that first year, that's what you're at though. And here's what ends up happening. Remember we were talking about those bill credit things, guys? This is where I would pull up my happy house, right? So right here is where you're actually overproducing and the utility company's buying back that extra bill credit. So you start seeing some of those negatives and start having that bill credit built up. So if you have $150 bill credit saved up here, and then right here, you get a $30 bill, how much do you got left? 150 minus 30.
120.
120, right? And then you have 120, and then you get a $50 bill here. How much you got left?
70.
70, right? And you get another $20 bill here. How much you got left?
50.
$50, right? So, you know, if that forever charge stays in there and then you still have this that's taking care of all of it, would you be pretty happy? Absolutely, right? So
I didn't know it'd do that much.
what's that?
I didn't know it would do that much. Holy cow.
Crazy, right? This is a huge increase right here for you where you're producing a ton. It's like, yes, you might need to use some utility power. Now, a couple things that might happen just because you have solar doesn't mean that you can let your neighbors plug the refrigerators into your garage. You don't have unlimited power. Your system's built for you, okay? So you're not Tony Stark. You're not building up some arc reactor on your roof. What we have to do is we have to make sure that this line stays consistent because the utility company where you're at will actually buy back 110% of what you used over the last 12 months. Okay. So right here in November with your utility company, they actually zero out any bill credits you have. Unfortunately, they don't send it back to you in a check anymore. It does go to zero. Okay. But you're still back in one of those months where you start gathering bill credit for the rest. Now, let's say you have some families that come over, like family comes over, in-laws come over right here in February. Do you think they care much about your AC? And say they're from Chicago, and you're down here in Phoenix. Do you think they're actually gonna, be okay with the temperature? Do you think you're gonna throw down the AC down to 50 degrees? Right.
Yeah,
Here's your bill. All of a sudden, you have a summer month right here. Right. So that could be a month you might expect something to happen. But if you have any foreseen expenditures, like I want to add a pool, I want to add a hot tub, I want to add an electric car, I want to put a workbench over here, I want to put a soldering iron, I want to add a gaming rig, I want to get a bigger TV with 30,000 surround sound speakers because I want to go deaf by the time I'm 40. Then let me know now because this would change and then I didn't do my job. I want to make sure I'm building the right system, not just for now, but for the future. I just have to tell the utility company that, hey, he plans on using more in the near future. So do you have any plans like that, or is this pretty perfectly sized right now?
no, I think it's perfect. So
Okay, perfect. So this is everybody's favorite question. It goes around to, and I'll tell you about the batteries because I want to show you this first because everybody's favorite question is,
how much does it cost?
He didn't ask me the first time either. So I was like, he didn't even care about price. He just wants to buy solar. Fantastic. So check this out. You're at 100
before I wanted to buy.
Before you wanted to buy. Okay. So
I was even interested.
All right. So you're actually at 106% offset. So we're going to be actually using or producing 6% more power than actually what you use over the last 12 months. Okay. So we'll give a little bit of wiggle room. That way, if we have a summer like we did last month, where we had 3 months of just storms and no production, you have a little bit of wiggle room to help offset any of those additional charges that might come through. Okay. So right now, like I said, your current utility bill is about 140. Remember we talked about that annual escalator? We have this bumping up right here. Your first 18 months with your solar is actually only $54. Your average new utility bill, if you end up getting overages with your forever charge, you're looking at $31. Worst case scenario.
Wait, that's worst case?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm listening.
So this your system produces like it's supposed to. We don't have issues, and we come out here, we fix your system like we're supposed to. This is where you're at, $54 a month, and you just have your forever charge and then those overages on an average. Isn't that pretty great?
Yeah.
because this is what you're eliminating. Check out what happens in 5 years with the utility company. If for some weird reason you didn't go solar in 5 years, you're at 170 a month. Guess where you'd be staying with solar? 10 years, 207. 15 years, where you at?
Holy.
20 years? Think about selling your house in 10 years. If you can just show your buyers, this is what you guys are going to pay if you guys use the same amount of electricity that I'm using right now. But this is all they're going to pay so this is your first 18 months. So we have what's called flex pay. It's a really cool program. So it's 25 years, 1.98, one of the lowest APRs you can get off of anything. I don't know anything that's as low as this right now, especially with the Fed going up. Your first 18 months are $54. On payment 19, you're only at 108. That's it. That's all you pay. If you go ahead and reinvest the entire amount of the federal tax credit, and then the Arizona tax credit that you may qualify for, you're looking at an additional $9,500 that goes down towards the down payment for your system. So your total system is only $32,000. So remember that initial cost that you're looking at. If you didn't go solar, you're looking at spending $69,000. With solar, you're actually only spending $32,000. If you reinvest the tax credits, it's only $24,000 total is what you're going to pay for your system, because you still qualify for the 26% by having solar on your roof. Here's the deal with that. Okay, it's all based off of the individual's tax liability. I'm not your CPA, right? So, like, let's say if you wanted to keep this, if you wanted to use it to pay off tax debt, if you wanted to use it to pay off a credit card, you wanted to go on vacation, remodel your house, you want to use it on a down payment on a new house, you could do that. It's yours, but you didn't put it back as a down payment. Then that means that this is actually going to be what you're financing. So your payment would actually be going up by about $5 for every 1,000 that you didn't put back. So an extra $40. So you'd be at 148. So even at 148, if you could have locked in your gas prices, how happy would you said you would be today?
You're perfect.
So would you be locking in your gas prices if you decided to just keep that tax credit or use it for something else, like maybe paying some tax stuff?
No.
Would you consider that a good investment or a bad investment?
That's pretty good.
Pretty good, right? Yeah. So here's how batteries work. Okay. So I tell everybody here with TEP, we have a pretty reliable utility company. They black out for maybe a couple hours once a year. We haven't seen anything crazy. But if you want to prepare for the zombies to start attacking the house, I get that 100%. Okay. We want to keep the fridge cold. We want to keep the house at a comfortable temperature. We want to be comfortable inside our home. One battery backup is not going to do that for you. It's just not. So if we wanted to get the appropriate size amount of batteries to be able to do a full backup, your home would need at least, it's going to say it right here. Let me grab it for you. We have the Tesla Powerwall. We're looking at 12,500 per battery for the first battery, and then 10,000 for the second battery if you wanted to go whole home. If you wanted just to make sure that you can keep the lights on and keep the fridge running, then you'd be fine with just one battery at 12,500. Okay. So if it's about saving money, likely adding that in there, an additional cost of 15, puts you up to about 50. But take a look at what your flex pay. You're only paying $83 a month on the flex pay, and you're only at 164 for that convenience, right? If you wanted to add a second battery in there, it's an additional 10,000. So every $5 for every 1,000 that you put on there, right? It's an extra $50. That gets you the that little bit more comfort, making sure that you can get the AC turned on. It may not stay on for an entire night, and the reason why is because there's only a certain amount of kilowatt hours that can be stored inside that battery. And you have to make sure you have the right amp and voltage to be able to push it through, right? So they're not designed to carry that big load that's required. You ever heard of that it costs more gas to turn on your car than it does to keep it running?
Yep.
Same thing with your AC. It's the same thing with turning on your dryers and things like that. So this is why I asked those questions in the beginning, because if you want to make sure that those are staying on, we need to add that extra battery to be able to turn those on while the other battery conditions and kind of maintains it for a couple of hours while you get the AC back on. So with that being said, do you think that the battery is the best investment for you right now, or do you think it's just saving that money, getting you down to $53 a month today?
Honestly, I think we can do one. I think one would be. I can do one.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and get this taken care of for you because we got the battery will automatically be put inside the house. They're really cool too. Even though this is about the size of a fridge, they're actually really thin. Okay, they're only about
And like,
no, you can actually open it up, store some beer in there too. It's a multifunction. So yeah, no, it's gonna go right there on the wall. So we'll find a good spot. I'm gonna go take some pictures here in a second. I just got a few things that I got to go over with you because here's the deal. Like we actually have something that might be better for you because this is the first time I've met you. Okay, I don't know what you might qualify for because we actually have this other one that is pretty fantastic, and it's actually a 20-year at 1.49, and it would get you about the same, but it's a little bit less of a term. So with that one, so you're at 83 right there. So check this out. It gets you to 62. So it's a pre-qualification. I don't take a point off your credit. I don't even get to see your credit score. I don't get to see anything on there. We're just going to ask you a couple quick questions. So let me go ahead and do that for you. We've verified your name and all that stuff. And then guys, this is where I would take them through the process.